And today I'm here to talk with you about soybean seed treatment. And as you guys notice, the Crop Physiology Day this year is all about baseball, right? And what Brazilians know about baseball? Not much. We have some Brazilians here. You guys can confirm that. So I had to do some homework, and I put here some baseball analogy to make it easier for me to explain my presentation. And let's see if that makes sense for all of you guys. So this is a soybean seed. As Dr. Willow said, this is a naked seed, as all of us, that all of us are very familiar with. But most of the time, we just see a naked seed like this when we are harvesting, right? Most of the time, we see something more colorful, just like that. And I don't know about you, but the only thing that comes to my mind when I see a picture like this, it's M&Ms, right? But it's not candy, okay? So if I could show you in layers everything that we can add in a seed as a treatment before we plant, that would be something like this. So we have the fungicides, insecticides, nematicides, polymers, and colorants. And these are the standard package that Dr. Billow said that we have for protecting the seeds before replanting. But we know that there's a lot of more things now, right? And we also have inoculant. In the case of soybeans, we have bradyrhizobium that helps fixing nitrogen to the air. And most recently, we have a lot of other options. We have here the biologicals, biostimulants, and also the micronutrients. So as you guys can see, it's a lot, right? And I'm just mentioning here the main groups, thinking about that we can add many products to all of these groups. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I thought, what about if we think our soybean seed treatment is a baseball team? What I can do about that? So who is playing where in this case? So let's think about, in this situation, we need to consider for this analogy that each product, each management decision is a player. And no team wins with just one star, right? It takes a balanced lineup, putting the right players in the right positions. So let's meet the team then. So first of all, we need a coach, right? A good team needs a good coach. And I don't know if this guy reminds you somebody here. So this is the coach for my analogy for my team. But think you, farmer, as the coach for your soybean seed treatment. So the first player that we pick is one of the most important players in a baseball team. It's the soybean. Oh, it's not working. Okay. Oh, there's some error here. Sorry, guys. Okay, your connection is the VPN.
Okay, shouldn't be.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so the first player that we picked to our team is one of the most important players, is the pitcher. In our analogy is a soybean seed, because it has to be good, because everything starts with a good seed. But the pitcher does not win the game alone, right? We need more players. And we need a good batter to support the pitcher. In this analogy, the batter here, it's a good germination and emergence. But why? Because considering that a soybean is a pitcher, we need to have a good emergence for those seeds, a very good vigor for those seeds before we think about adding any kind of treatments. Because the treatment is not able to save a bad seed, right? So we need to have a very good seed to put the ball in play. So with a good pitcher, a good catcher, a good batter, we also need a good catcher. In my analogy, is Bradyrhizobium, because soybean plants requires a certain amount of nitrogen. The Bradyrhizobium can biologically fix, and also soybean plants require this nitrogen that we don't offer this during the planting, right? We don't fertilize soybeans. So this is why it's important for the crop to have Bradyrhizobium in the soil. Okay, with this good team we have set up by now, we also need to have good players in the outfield. And these are the players that we are very familiar with them. They are there to support the team, to offer protection. They are the fungicides, insecticides, and nematicides. This is what we call the standard package for protection. And what else we have aside from these players that we are very familiar with? We have the new players. We have a lot of options already in the market that are the new products. Let's meet this team. Those are, in my analogy, that I call them the rookies. They are the rookies on the bench. They are there, very younger, very energetic, waiting for the moment for them to show up in a game. So let's meet them. We have biologicals. So then here we have the BS. So you guys might be thinking something different here for BS, but it stands for biostimulants, okay? And then we have to support then here micronutrients. So I guess we have now a very good team, but there's something with those guys that are new for us. We need to explore a little bit more to understand how these new players actually work. So let's move on and talk a little bit about each of them. So first group I'm going to talk, it's about the biologicals. So basically the biologicals are the living microbes, right? So for my analogy here, I divided them in three main groups, and I'm going to start with the fixers. So they are the nitrogen fixers. And in our analogy, they are the power heaters. They are responsible to support the plant and offer free nitrogen, right? We mentioned already about Bradyrhizobium because it's considered to be the most important bacteria for nitrogen fixations for soybeans. This is why it has a very important position as the catcher for our team. But we also have other players. They also bring free nitrogen. So we have a couple names of them here. So if you guys see those names in the label, in some labels, you guys can be familiar about what they are able to do. And for example here, Azospirillum brasiliensis is widely used in Brazil, in Argentina. Especially in Brazil, it's used for co-inoculation to support Bradyrhizobium in fixing nitrogen. And we are having very good yields due to this combination of Bradyrhizobium and Azospirillum there. And the second group we have are the feeders. In our analogy, they are the utility players. And here, they are responsible for making nutrients more available in the soil to the plants. Here we have Bacillus, for example. If you see this name as a first name and a label, for example, you can think about that this guy is there and the plant in the soil supporting and making, for example, phosphorus available for the plant. So these are the feeders. And the third group we have here are the protectors. This group here, we call them the defensive specialists. These guys here will help the plants fight from diseases and stresses during the season. So we also have here some bacillus, strains, and trichodermas pseudomonas. So these are the living microbes. How about biostimulants? So these are the non-living substances. And I have a very big group here where I call them the boosters. They are the rook speedster in the team. They will be the guys that will be there to support the seeds to emerge faster, more vigorous, make the roots grow quicker, and also help the plants recover from stress. And here we have a lot of options already, a lot of groups here. We have the PGRs, we have seaweed extracts, for example, some enzymes, humic and fulvic acids. So these are the roots, the boosters here, the non-living substances. But how about micronutrients? Where do micronutrients fit in all of this? So micronutrients here, for example, such as molybdenum, cobalt, and nickel, they act supporting nodulation. They will be supporting the fixers, the nitrogen fixers. And these guys here, they can support the nodulation and nitrogen fixation. So they act on the nitrogenized enzymes, making those nodulation more sustainable and more in nitrogen fixation. And the second here, as another example, is micronutrients. We have zinc, manganese, and boron, for example. And this can help the feeders, right? They can support some enzymes in the roots and make and unlock and also make nutrients more available to the plants. And I really hope, I hope I could make some good analogy here to explain those differences. And Eva will talk more about some kind of biologicals and biostimulants. But this is what I'd like to share with you about those products. And I really wish I could have data in all of them to show you today. But we are still working on that. But I still have something nice to share. So talking about yield here. So for this trial is an example of using a micronutrient as a seed treatment. And for all of these results I'm going to show you here, consider that we used seeds that were pre-treated with the standard package, okay? These molybdenum were just added as a second seed treatment, I would say like that. So we tested then two different rates of molybdenum, and because we know also the molybdenum can cause some toxicity to bradyrhizobium if you use it in higher rates. So we tested here 1 and 2 ounces per CWT, and what we got. This trial was running here in Champaign in 22, in 23, and 2024. So we got here an average. I'm not going to talk about all of these years because each year can be a little bit different. But in average for these 3 years, we got a yield increase for those two different rates of 2 bushels per acre, right? So we didn't see a difference between the two different rates of application, but we still got 2 bushels increase here in this with this molybdenum seed treatment. And how about adding, testing a different product with molybdenum, cobalt, and a biostimulant as a seaweed extract? And here, and this study also conducted here in 2024, and what we got. So first thing we did here was an addition to the yield analysis, we also did a emergence rating. We have those ratings here that we go to the field, and it's basically a visual rating just to see how is the plants emerging in the field. And what we got here is that the seeds treated with cobalt, molybdenum, and seaweed showed a better visual on seed emergence compared to no treated control. In terms of yield for that trial, we got an increase of 1.7 bushels per acre. And we are seeing, most recently, a changing game on seed treatment, right? We are very familiar with the liquid seed treatment, which is basically done by the retailer. There's colorful products, very sticky, very messy, right? That works very well. But nowadays we are also seeing some new players, some new products in the market that are powder or talc-based products with graphite, for example. And we can see then here, I put some examples here that we have available already. And we have so many different products with so many different combinations. There's some, for example, that can have micronutrients in the same box, biologicals and biostimulants all in the same product, with so good results. And they're showing to be very convenient for farmers because they can be applied at the seed planter. But also can have some challenges, especially because it's a very thin powder. It can easily cause a lot of dust. And also related to the covering, how uniformly the products can cover the seeds. I treated here, I hope you guys can see that well, naked seed with the powder and a treated seed with the powder, just to show you guys how can be a little bit challenging sometimes uniformly cover all the seeds with the same amount of product. So they are very good products, but it's always important to check how are you guys doing these treatments, especially because they are done at the seed planter. And talking about some results of those powders, this is a trial that were done here in Champaign, 22, 23, 2024. With two different products. We have the labels here with Pseudomonas and Azospirillum, and one with Bradyrhizobium, both with the same rates, 1.5 ounces per unit here. And what we got in terms of yield. So in 22, we had an increase for both around 2 bushels per acre. 2023 was a very tough year. So it was a very dry year, and biologicals doesn't like that much, so it didn't perform very well here. But in 24, we had still a significant increase here, 1.7, and an average of 1 and 1.4 bushels per acre here with those products. And I also thought that to conclude my presentation, and also talking about all of these new players, would be important to mention the best management practices, the good practices for seed treatments really matter to achieve the results that we want for those products. And I put here the main best practices that I think that are important. I'm not going to cover all of them since we don't have time, but I really think those are very important. But I highlighted here 2 of them that I want to show you as an example, and they are related to use of the correct rates of the products. And I did here, as an example, testing different rates of a liquid biological. And this example here also works, for example, if you want to combine different products for the same treatment. This is all related to the volume of the liquid that you are using, or also when the case that you need to dissolve the liquid, the treatment in liquid, just to pay attention, of course, always on the labels, but also the amount of products that you put in the seeds. And what I did here, I tested this liquid inoculant here, liquid seed treatment with biologicals here, and I put here and this petri dish just to zoom a little bit the picture. And this photo here, I put white paper at the bottom just to see if I was losing the treatment, because I treated I over-treated the seeds with the biologicals. The seeds that I treated were already treated with the standard package, okay? And what I could see here, using the recommended rate, I didn't see any stain on my white paper here. That was showing me that was okay. I was doing the right thing with following the label and use the recommendation. But since I'm curious, I did, okay, let's double that rate and see what happened. Using the double rate, This is the zoom picture. And I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but we can start to see already some stain in the paper here, in the white paper. That is even higher when I did this 5 times the recommended rate. You guys can see here a lot of stains. And this is a very simple example, but it also happens in our routine in the lab when we receive all of those recommendations to apply that big number of products in a small amount of seeds. And we see that I could see already some damage here in the seed coat. And I was even more curious, and I did this 10 times the recommended rate. And you guys can see here in those pictures that I was pretty much washing all the previous treatment, right? And aside from this, as a seed scientist, I also have to say here, those wrinkled seeds, I don't know if you guys can see this well, but those wrinkled seeds here is telling me that the seeds are absorbing water before the time they are supposed to be absorbing water. And we don't want to see that, because these seeds here, if germinate, will not perform well in the field, because I'm losing those qualities here. So aside from losing all the protection from the standard package that I'm using with fungicides, insecticides, and nematicides here, I was losing also the quality of my seeds. So this is something that I'd like to bring to you. And some final winning take-home message that I'd like to bring as well is soybeans needs nitrogen, and we don't offer that throughout fertilization, right? And bradyrhizobium is a most simple way, let's say like that, to have, for the plants to have the demanded for nitrogen. And we know that the soils have nitrogen already in the native species, but especially new areas that soybean will be introduced, flooded areas also, it's important considering including bradyrhizobium, or also, we also have other options. Remember that I show you, there's more other biologicals that can also support the nitrogen fixation. And seed treatments today, we have well beyond fungicides, insecticides, and nematicides. We also have biologicals, biostimulants, and micronutrients. And know the function of all of these players, all of these new products. It is important. Be curious about them and understanding what they do, what they can offer, right? And never forget the seed is alive, right? I mean, biologicals are alive also, but seeds here are very important. They are alive. And don't overload those seeds with too many treatments, especially considering the amount of liquid that you are adding to those treatments. Always focus on your field's needs and the seed quality, the product compatibility, which is also important, and time that you are applying those products. And of course, the best management practices matter when we are thinking about seed treatment, because we know we have we can have good players, but if we don't know how to position them, we can still not win. And at the end of the day, it's all about winning, right? Everybody wants to win, right? And if we follow all the recommendations, that's what we're going to have, good yields. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.